everyone, welcome back. I'm Katie, and today we are going to be talking about the books I read in September. It's fall, it's plaid weather. That's hard to say. Anyways, so I have my reading journal this month since I didn't make a ton of notes, but I put them all in here in September. So we're going to talk about all the books that I read, and actually this was a quite light month. I only read 11 and I'm working on my 12th because I got to finish the buddy read for our Christian book club from last month, but that will be included in this wrap up even though I'm technically reading it in October. That's okay. I just wanted it included so I didn't forget. All right, and I also have 3 DNFs that I did not finish. So we will talk about all these. That's actually a really light reading month. It's the lightest that I've had all year. Yeah, most of the time I have between 15 to 20 books to talk about usually. That's okay. I still had some really great reading this month. Some, okay. But nothing really terrible. No 1 stars, only 1 2-star. So let's go with ratings first. Let's see. I have 1 2-star. I have 4 3-stars and 4 4-stars. One is like a 3.75. I don't normally do that, but it was like this close to a 4-star. And then I have 2 5-stars. So not a bad month at all, I don't think. So I'm going to talk about the DNFs really quickly first. So the first DNF that I had was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And I think I DNF'd it because it did have quite a bit of language right in the beginning of the book. And it just was not really something that I would enjoy reading. Like, I had a hard time getting into it. Yeah, so I DNF'd that one. I just wasn't enjoying it. That's okay. All right, so the second one that I DNF'd was The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill. And I was so excited for this book because the cover was gorgeous. The whole, like, what it was about just sounded like something that I would enjoy. But then I started reading it, and I got to a part where the dragon was talking about becoming another creature. And I was like, okay, you know, it's a little bit of fairy tale magic. I'm okay with that usually. And then it started talking about worshiping this other creature and worshiping, like, kind of like, oh, we can become different creatures, but it was like in a weird way where I felt kind of weird about it. It's like, okay, this is just weird and not something I probably should be reading. So yeah, I DNF'd that one. It wasn't good enough to continue anyways. Like, I think I was like 20% of the way in. I'm like, when's it going to pick up? Because it just wasn't that great to begin with. So I DNF'd it. All right, and then the last one that I DNF'd was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This was a buddy read with a friend of mine in a Facebook group, but I don't know, it just wasn't for me. It was kind of slow in the beginning, and the premise of, like, people trying to physically harm themselves to become superheroes, like, not in an accidental way like most superheroes come about. So that kind of was a little off to me. So, and I really wasn't enjoying it. It was kind of slow, and I was like, just wasn't something I was interested in right then. Okay, that's it that I DNF'd. So more DNFs that I usually have. Sometimes I forget to add the DNFs, but normally I don't have too many. But this month I had 3, so had to add those in. All right, so I'm just going to go through based off when I read them instead of star rating. Although they're kind of in a row. Not really. Okay, anyway, so the first books that I read. So I read the entire Sky King series, not in a row. I had like 2 books in between, but that's okay. I lost my 3rd book. It might be downstairs, but I don't know. Anyway, so I have the first 2, which are Sunrise and Sunburst, and I did a whole review. I will link my review down below in the description box for you all if you want to see that. But this is a Christian fiction series by Susan May Warren about the Sky King family that own a ranch, and this one and the last book take place in Alaska, parts of Florida. This one takes place in Africa, so it's very widespread. I enjoyed the first 2 books more than the last one, unfortunately, which was, what was the last one called? Sundown. But yeah, so Overall, I would give it kind of an average rating of possibly about 3 stars for all of them. And they were okay. They were interesting. All the men kind of have military backgrounds. Like one was a SEAL. I can't remember what the other ones were. There was a pilot. So a lot of mystery and intrigue and romance are in these books. So very interesting if you like those types of books. Romantic suspense. Pretty much trying to save the world aspect. So yeah, very interesting. So those are the first couple books that I read. And then I read Password to Larkspur Lane by Carolyn Keene. This is one of the original Nancy Drew books. And I ended up giving it 3 stars, and it was good. It just wasn't an absolute favorite. So this is basically Nancy Drew, and she finds like a pigeon with like a secret message, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, where this bird came from, and she finds like this kind of old lady next to this kind of fenced in property. She finds out that something mysterious is happening in this building. So she tries to infiltrate and go into the building and find out what's going on. So it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. I haven't actually read like my old favorites yet. I haven't gotten there, but maybe next year. All right, so next one that I read, I don't have a physical copy, is The Moonlight Child by Karen McQuestion. And I thought I saw one of my YouTube friends talk about this book, but I couldn't remember. I thought it was Amanda over at the Curly Reader, and then I was like that would be the only person that you would think would have this book. So I don't know where I heard it from otherwise. Maybe it was in a Facebook group. But anyway, so I gave this one 3 stars. It was good. I like the premise of it. It's kind of like a Alfred Hitchcock Rear Window situation where like this neighbor sees this family next door, and she sees a little girl in the window doing dishes at like 11 o'clock at night. And the family says they have no daughter. They only have a son that's older. And she's like, okay, but I saw this little girl in the window. What's going on? So there's that part of the story. Plus, this older woman's daughter asks her if she can help this girl who's in foster care. So this older girl, I think she's actually almost 18. So she's already, she did already age out of the system, but she was a foster kid. So the old woman takes her in, and they both try to solve this mystery. And I think my favorite part was the dynamics between those two characters, the previous foster child and the older mom. I just thought they were really sweet, and I felt like they needed each other a lot. So that part of the story was probably my favorite. So it was good. If you like a good kind of mystery, it definitely was not thriller. It wasn't really super exciting, but it was still good. I enjoyed it. All right, let's see. The next one that I read was New Kid by Jerry Craft. This is a middle grade graphic novel, and I gave it 4 stars. I thought this one was really cute, and it definitely brings to light bullies in school and racism, but I felt like he wrote it in a good way to like see like this is things that could happen to kids in schools and how they kind of dealt with it, each kid. So it is part of a series. I do plan on continuing it. There's a train going by. The train's like that far away and I can hear it. It's like a mile away at least. Anyway, if you can hear that, I'm sorry. Anyway, so yes, it's a part of a series, and I do plan on continuing it since I enjoyed the first book a lot. So yes, I will continue that. All right, and then the next one that I read, which I literally had to grab out of my mom's hands, was To Win a Prince by Toni Shiloh. And literally, yeah, my mom was reading it, and I put a bookmark in. I was like, bookmark, sorry. So she laughed. She was like, hey, but she's been enjoying it a lot. So I gave this one to her to read because she read the first one, In Search of a Prince, and loved that one. So she's been enjoying this one too. She's actually already almost done with it. I have to find another book for her. She's fast. All right, anyway, so this is the second book, and this one is about Brielle from our first book, her best friend, who is a fashion designer and wants to build a company in Africa to help the local population and help the women there try to get more income for their families. And then we have the male interest who, what's his name? I can't remember, Econ. So Econ is kind of forced to work with their company for the crimes he committed in the first book. So they start to work together, and I really liked it. I liked the romance in this book more than the first one. This one we get to see them grow in their relationship right from the beginning, and I really liked that. I thought it was sweet and romantic, and it was fun. I like this one. All right, next book that I read a classic this month. I know it's a rarity for me on this channel, but I did read a classic. I read The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, and I read this one with Miriam Elizabeth Reed. I know she really didn't like this one that much, but I liked it. I gave it 3.75. This is the 3.775 one, so almost 4 stars. Probably my highest rated classic to date that I have read. Adult-wise, not middle grade. Middle grade, I do have some 5-star classics, but for an adult classic, this is my highest rated book, and I'm so happy that I liked it as much as I did, because The Phantom of the Opera is my favorite musical, one of my favorite movies growing up. I love the music and the score, so I was like, please God, please let me like this one, because I really wanted to like this one, and this book is so pretty. I love it, and I waited to get a copy that I actually liked, because a lot of them are not that pretty. And I know that like the Phantom's not supposed to be handsome, but you can have a pretty cover at least. And this one's pretty. So this is actually Paper Mill, if you wanted to know the company that makes it, Paper Mill Press, in case you were looking. Book Outlet sells these editions, so I will link my Book Outlet link down below. If you haven't purchased from them, you get like a $5 coupon, and I think I do too. So check them out if you haven't, because there's some great deals on there. But yeah, so this book I really did enjoy a lot compared to every other classic that I've read so far. But this is all about, if you don't know what The Phantom of the Opera is about, this is about a man who, the beginning was probably the only part that I didn't like. It's talking about like some kind of reporter guy who's trying to find out the story about how this man was found in the river dead. And so he finds out about the Phantom and his story. So it's all about Christine Daae, who is a opera singer, and she gets music lessons from this strange angel of music who appears to her. And I don't think I ever knew the Phantom's real name. His name is Eric, but he's not a phantom. He's just a man who has a very severe disfigurement, and he wants love, and he falls in love with Christine. And also we have a love triangle in here with another man named Raoul, who's in love with Christine, and Christine's in love with him. She's also kind of has interesting feelings for the Phantom. So I heard before I read this one that it was very creepy and a lot more scary than the movie and stuff. And I read it and I'm like, it honestly really isn't as creepy. Yes, the description of the Phantom is very, very more scary than the movie version, like the newest movie version. If you look at pictures of the original one with oh, what's his name? I haven't seen it, but I've seen pictures, and that original like 1930s movie definitely depicts what the Phantom would probably look like in real life. I can't think of his name. Anyways, forget about that. But yeah, so definitely check this out. It is slow paced in some parts, but I like that. I think I just because I had that connection with the movie and the musical, I think I like this one more than I probably would have if I didn't see it. All right. What is next? The next one that I read, I love this one. I have a whole review for this one as well, which is A Quilt for Christmas by Melody Carlson. And I love this one. I thought it was so cute. And yeah, it's the perfect Christmas read. It's my favorite Melody Carlson book to date. I loved it so much. So this is about, I can never remember names, Vera. And she's an older lady who moves to Oregon, and she moves there to visit her family, but her family ends up moving to California. So she's stuck there not knowing anybody until she meets this adorable little girl named Fiona, and who knocks on a door and says her mom is hurt. And so Vera ends up taking her to the hospital and taking care of the kids at the same time. And Fiona asks Vera to make her mother a Christmas quilt. And so this is all about how she creates a quilting circle to find a few ladies in the neighborhood to help her make a quilt in time for Christmas. So It's really cute. I really enjoyed this one. I think it'll be perfect for Christmas. I might even reread it if I have time, although I have a lot of Christmas books that I'd like to read, so. But it was really cute. I loved it. All right, next book that I read was Formula of Deception by Carrie Stewart Parks. This is my second book by her, and I like this one more than I did the first book that I read. And so this one, I know I have such a hard time with names. Who else, raise your hands, has a hard time remembering names? I know I do. So Murphy, her twin sister was murdered, and so she ends up going, I believe this is all takes place in Alaska. Yeah, Alaska. And there happens to be 5 dead bodies that are found. And they need an artist to kind of reconstruct the crime scene. And so they find her, and she kind of pretends to pose as a crime scene artist to just get a job, because she doesn't have a job at the moment and she needs to pay her rent. So she ends up posing as a crime scene artist to get the job. And what follows is a pretty intriguing mystery. I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a lot of historical aspects to this, with historical events happening in the past brought to light in this new mystery. So it was good. I really did enjoy this one more than the first one. So I will definitely be picking up more of her books. I love this cover too. All right, and then my second to last book, I read The Bone House by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is the second book in the Bright Empires series, and I gave this one 3 stars, and it was good, but I think I still liked the first book the most so far. But I know a few of my friends have really enjoyed the series. I read the first book 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, like, I'm waiting 2 years to continue the series. Am I even going to remember what happened in the first book? But I read the second one, and I'm so glad that I listened to it on audio, because it has a recap. I don't know if the books do or not, but it has a recap in the beginning, and it kind of tells you about the story. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that, and that. So it really did help, and I could kind of continue the story without being too far behind. But so I can't tell you too much really, because it's a sequel. But it's all about this guy and girl named Kit and Wilhelmina, and they end up traveling in time. And it's not a time travel. It's kind of like a, like it's time travel, but it's also like different alternate realities that you can travel to. And so I really enjoyed it, the first book. I really enjoy having Wilhelmina's part, I think her part, because as they're traveling, they get split through time and they end up in different eras and different times. And Wilhelmina's perspective, I liked a lot better, because you see her kind of grumpy, but then we see her kind of get out of her shell. And I just loved her storyline and how she ends up finding her way in time and not being like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm stuck here, you know, and how can I get back to my own time? She actually makes do with what she has, and it really gets a place for her in history, and I really love that about her. I liked her story a lot. That's probably why I remember it more than the male part, Kit's character. So anyway, so that's all of the books that I read. I can hold up a few, because I have some of them, or actually most of them. How do these go? But anyway, so yeah, so there were some pretty good books this month. There we go. So I think my favorite this month was obviously To Win a Prince. The Christmas book was definitely a close second, and Finn and the Opera was up there too. So those are the books, plus all the other ones that I read this month that I didn't have physical copies for. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video down below. And let me know if you've read any of these. I'd love to know your opinions. We can be different. If you didn't like a book, that's okay. I'd love to know why, or if you absolutely loved a book that I didn't like, then I'd love to know that too. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and there will be a video tomorrow, even though I said I wasn't going to post on Fridays in October, but I'd like to post my reading setup. Couldn't think of that word. Reading setup video, because this month is going to be a cute month. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.